Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to show 250. We are in the my personal testimony, and right now we're involving ourselves with chapter 7 of 250. I made a mistake in one of the previous chapters, and I said it was show 205. No, it's not. The entire chapter situation is show 250, not 205. Thank you. I thank you. The title of this show is called Venice Beach and the Christians. Venice Beach and the Christians. As you may recall, in the previous chapter 6, I managed to escape I was in Big Sur, and I read the book Carlos Castañeda, Don Juan, so I decided I was going to go to Mexico, deep into Mexico, to find this Peyote guru, so I could find the light of life. So I was on my way, and I made it to LA hitchhiking, and I arrived at Venice Beach. Before, Venice Beach used to be a hippie town. Now most hippie villages in the United States are gay villages. I don't know about Venice Beach. Maybe it's all mixed. Maybe there's all kind of insanity all mixed together. Put it in a blender, and what do you get? A freak. So in those days, Venice Beach was the hippie area of LA, so that's where I fluctuated to. And I ran into these Christians that were going around witnessing with a loudspeaker and a microphone, but they were extremely self-righteous, and they would go at night in bar hopping with their microphone and their speaker, their little amplifier, and they'd curse the sinners, they go to hell, you're hellfire, you're burning in hell, sinners, repent or perish, extremely self-righteous, but they lived together in an apartment there in Venice Beach, and they let me in for free. They were really into fasting, extremely into fasting. They were all the time fasting and studying the Bible, the verses on fasting. That was their major thing, besides being extremely self-righteous in condemnation. And, I just had to follow along, but at the same time I got a job, building window screens in Pecos Boulevard. And we were installing also in Hollywood and different places in LA. I think I lasted a month or two. But these Christians were so self-righteous, they were called the hands of God, made you hate Christians. And one day I was sitting on the stairwell, I believe, smoking a cigarette, because they didn't believe that was a sin. And I met a hippie girl who was also doing the same thing, and she told me, your friends give Jesus a bad name. Your friends give Jesus a bad name. That's what she told me. And that really hit me in the heart, because I was a hippie at heart. I wasn't a self-righteous Christian. I was there for convenience sake, and I was also learning about the Bible, because I really felt I needed salvation, but these people were really into fasting. So I decided myself, I said, look, I'm on the verge of suicide. If I don't find the light of life, I'm going to commit suicide, but maybe I'll try. I really had the idea about fasting to find God. That's what happened with that. So, that lasted, and then I ended up on my way, and I made it to Mazatlan, to more or less, that's where Don Juan pinpointed the location where this, Carlos Castañeda, pinpointed the location where this Don Juan Peyote guru was. So that's where I went. I went to Mazatlan, and I ended up going outside of Mazatlan. There was I think there's several little islands, I don't know, but I know there was an island, and they called it Stone Island. Yes, you heard correctly, Stone Island. They call it Stone Island for a reason. So I took the boat, the little boats that take you to Stone Island, and there was a bunch of hippies living on the beach and getting stoned. The beach was absolutely gorgeous and amazing. And I hung out there smoking a lot of weed with these hippies, Mexicans and all this kind of stuff. But at the same time, I had a Bible that I had taken from the Venice Beach Christians, self-righteous, holier-than-thou hypocrites, the hands of God, full of condemnation. But I took a Bible, so I kept it hidden, because I didn't want the hippies to see that I read the Bible, because it was that would be an embarrassing situation. So I was reading, so then I decided to write down on a notebook all the words of Jesus, because I decided that I hated the Apostle Paul, and I still don't like the Apostle Paul because he was the opposite from Jesus Christ. I found like 20 opposites. I mean, Jesus Christ hung out with sinners. The Apostle Paul said not to commune, not to have, fellowship with devils and sinners. The Apostle Paul was also a Pharisee, very self-righteous. And he kind of led Christianity in the wrong direction, if you ask me. So I was more into Jesus. I didn't like certain parts of the Bible because the Apostle Paul said that men should wear short hair. Like these Christians in Venice Beach, this cult, the Hams of God, they had very short hair. And I was a long-haired hippie. And they said, that long hair was, the Apostle Paul didn't like long hairs, man. Get out of my face, you long-haired hippie. I know you're kind. You burned my rose garden with your motorcycles. Yeah, my son wanted to join you. He wanted to wear them pants bigger at the bottom than they ain't at the top. So yes, I was a long-haired hippie, and that's why I disliked the Apostle Paul. But I loved Jesus. He was a long hair, wore sandals, and was crucified with common criminals, and hung out with the sinners and the publicans and the proletariat and hookers. So I liked Jesus. So I decided to just stick to the words of Jesus, and I started writing in this notebook all the words of Jesus. That's what I started to do until I ran into one verse. I believe it's in Matthew. There's a verse in Matthew. I don't have a Bible with me. You look it up for yourself. Google it. Where Jesus says, not what goes into the mouth defiles a man, but what comes out of his heart, this defiles a man. So, wow, that was like, I said, oh shit, Jesus was one of us, man. I mean, he's putting an emphasis on your heart, not on what you put inside your mouth. Like we smoke cigarettes, we smoke weed, we drink beer, which the Christians would condemn us for. But Jesus here, listen to that verse, man. It's in Matthew, I think it's chapter 11 or in verse 15, or chapter 15, verse 11, either way. But Jesus said, not that which, in Matthew, not that which goes into the mouth defiles a man, but that which comes out of his heart. That verse hit me like a kick in the stomach, in the solar plex. Like if somebody kicked me, a soccer player kicked me in the solar plex. It shook me. I mean, wow. It opened up a door. I said, oh shit, Jesus is one of us. Jesus is cool. He's not like the Christians. That's the verse that turned me on to Jesus Christ, my friends. I stayed a little longer there, while I was doing that and reading that, I had decided to fast. And I was going to fast like Daniel or something. He fasted 3 weeks. Jesus Christ fasted 40 days. The other guy, Daniel, I think he fasted 2 weeks. I was on a roll, man. I ain't talking about these veggie fasts or this, papaya juice fast. No, it was just straight up fast, only drink water. A lot of people don't believe me, but I lasted for 8 days. 8 days, only water. I shit you not. I was in good shape too. I was a skinny guy, man. My pee-pee looked bigger than it does now that I got a beer belly. So I lasted for 8 days with the fast. And then I'm going to tell you soon why I stopped on the 8th day. Ladies and gents, God bless you. I love you with the love that characterizes my personality. Be free. Be free to worship God however the heck you want. I thank you.